Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game 3 in the series between NoxOut and Jaxx here on or I believe this is just dual site, and I don't think it's MLG dual site, so it might be GSL dual site, as there are no destructible supply depots on the low ramp here, so no pylon or supply blocking as the game does get underway, and we'll see what will happen in this matchup. Now, Terran versus Protoss, and the series is currently tied at 1 game apiece. A very, very interesting series so far, as Game 1 went to NoxOut, utilizing Metavacs on Shakura's Plateau. A very strong strategy, doing constant drops, being able to hit multiple mineral lines until the Protoss army was simply destroyed. But this time around, we'll see what's going to happen, as Jaxx was able to execute a very good tech switch on Shattered Temple, and then get Psystorm followed by Archons. With so many Vikings invested, the Vikings were pretty much useless against those units as this game does get underway. A probe now going to make its way up the ramp, as an SCV also doing a bit of early scouting. Barracks is being placed down. Room for a tech lab or reactor has been positioned, as we now see the probe going after an SCV. Oh, nicely done by NoxOut there. NoxOut pretty much assuming that the probe was going to try to move at a certain point, and was able to actually predict the movement, which way it went, to get in a little bit more damage. And now that probe down to 9 hit points, down to 4 hit points, now needs to escape. And that's always one thing that a Terran player wants to do. It's all about minor victories in StarCraft 2. If you can get a minor victory, remove the scouting probe, remove the scouting overlord, those things do eventually add on, as we now see Jaxx trying to do a bit of a full pylon block there. A Marine is now being added. We'll see if another supply depot will be added as well, as it doesn't look like it at this time. A Marine still being trained. The Marine looking to perhaps destroy that probe. The probe is on its way out, and as soon as that Marine is out, you're going to see perhaps a tech lab. Tech lab has been placed down. Currently, NoxOut wants to be able to, where is that? Oh, what is this? A proxy barracks here on dual site. I was wondering where all those resources went, as he didn't spend 100 minerals on a supply depot. Proxy barracks now being set up all the way across the map. Marauders now being trained, and perhaps even more Marauders can be trained off from here to try to charge up this ramp. Both players have been playing very economically and really avoiding any serious early pressure, just feigning pressure, or more of a keep honest force, as we now see a Zealot still wandering around. Probe will make its way up the ramp. The probe is looking for a proxy building of some sort, and it will spot it. And that is going to be hilarious, as apparently Jaxx and NoxOut know each other very well to see what's happening. And now the probe did spot that barracks over here. So the barracks has already been built. SCV now making its way, as we are now getting in some additional gateways and sentries. The sentry going to be very important to hold this ramp. Perhaps even a Marauder will get caught on the wrong side of the ramp, as we can see that there's nothing being trained off of this barracks just quite yet. It is now lifting off and moving away, and call me confused, as it looks as though NoxOut was originally planning to do some sort of proxy play, and then after it got scouted out, wanting to make Jaxx think that early pressure is coming, but instead he is now expanding behind this. So he is expanding behind this. Marines, we're going to see double command centers, perhaps even another barracks. Yes, we are going to go into triple barracks inside the base, as the Zealots and the Stalkers and the Sentries are simply waiting like, what am I doing? Jaxx now not going to fall for this, though, opting to now finally get his Nexus, as a barracks is flying overhead. Will it spot? No, it is not going to get a Nexus at all, so this Nexus is still not being warped in, as the factory is still flying, trying to do a bit of scouting. A probe now finally makes its way in. The barracks is going to land off over here, train some Marines. And this is going to be a lifted off barracks Marine pressure. And this is going to be absolutely confusing. Marines and Marauders here, you can see that the Stalkers have no idea what's happening on the north side of his own base. The probe has scouted out the tech lab and knows that the barracks is no longer there. He needs to figure out what's going on, as there are Marines and Marauders back at home. Stalkers are now making their way out, and what NoxOut can do is NoxOut can try and defend his natural or his ramp, as he knows most likely Stalkers and Zealots will be making the way out, and having now Marines. So 2 Marines are now pushing in. I would have gone for a little bit more Marines here, as the Marines are now inside the base, going after probes, disrupting mineral and mining. 1 probe down, 2 probes down. It looks like more probes may get taken down. No more probes getting taken down, as the Stalkers return home to deal with 2 Marines, as he wonders perhaps how they got there. Orbital command has been completed, not training up any SCVs as of yet. We need to get some more supply depots for NoxOut. Meanwhile, no supply block issues by Jaxx, as now he gets into 47/68. Harvester count 29-25, a slight advantage for NoxOut here, as we now see Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries just simply sitting at the ramp. A Zealot, is gonna be able to destroy 1 Marine. That Marine never stood a chance against the Zealot. Zealot, a very powerful melee unit. The Marines, very strong in numbers, but that is essentially it. Now, double bunkers are being established on the low ground. The top bunker has not been, or is now being salvaged, refunding 75 minerals, as we now see a barrack still hiding off to the north. Now, so far, even though these armies have not engaged and have not gone just head to head, we've seen a lot of action, and right now both players perhaps feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it would probably be the best word. And not that they're uncomfortable, that there's a lot of pressure and they feel like they're losing the game. Uncomfortable as in, this has not been a standard game set up at all. There's been a lot of mind games and a lot of head fakes and a lot of things of that nature, as we now see both players going into a more traditional build, Terran bio with Engineering Bay and a Starport training up medevacs against Protoss getting a Robotics Bay. Immortals are in this group though, and the Immortals may be able to bunker bust things down, as we are now going into a Twilight Council. Still no Robotics Bay. So without the Robotics Bay, with no Colossi, the bio may be able to get in a lot of damage here, as the Marines need to follow and perhaps get in a bit of a drop. A Zealot now making its way over to the Tech Lab. The Tech Lab has been scouting out that location the entire time. The Tech Lab will get taken out here, as we now see a barracks flying out to do a bit of scouting. NoxOut will lose that barracks, but he does see a large amount of Stalkers and Immortals inside the base, as we now may be going in for a drop. An Observer is gonna barely spot that medevac, but most likely gonna keep track of this group of Marauders and Marines here. Where is this drop going? It is gonna be a front door attack alongside a back door attack, but the Stalkers already ready, lying in wait, saying pretty much, I know you're gonna try to drop me here. Don't even think about it. NoxOut not knowing where the Stalkers are. Marines and Marauders are all getting unloaded. And now, very interesting. Oh, he's going for a fake drop. So there is still a medevac over here. He's trying to keep track. He's gonna feign a drop with this medevac, and the medevac now coming in. Oh, now needs to back off. It's gonna keep all of these Stalkers to food, keeping 7 Stalkers at bay, as the medevac now backs off once more, but in comes the major force here. But there are also too many Immortals. Are they going to try to do a bit of that push? The medevac was able to destroy that here, and now what looked to be a very impressive mind trick or a mind play turned out to be a loss of 200 resources. 46 probes, 46 SCVs, as the third command center being built, and a Nexus will be warped in as well. Both players still a little bit weary as to what to do, at this stage, as both sides feel and know that one misstep is all it's going to take to get destroyed. Pylon has been destroyed. Most likely Nexus will get canceled alongside a probe. Loss of about 250 resources there, as the Pylon I do not believe was canceled. And now the units are all simply retreating once more. Command center about halfway done now. We have one Marine sitting at the gold mineral patches, 5 golds plus a rich Vespian geyser. Returning, I believe, 6 gas per minute, or 6 gas per trip as opposed to 4, as we are now sitting on a Marine Zelnaga tower control, definitely belonging to the Terran. But the Zealot is now chasing after the Marine. The Marine does need to back off, trying to deny that site, as now the Zealot will be making its way over, sees the rest of these bio units, and says, you know what, I need to get out of here. Zealot simply running off to the north now. 2 bases versus 2 bases. This third base has yet to be established, as a Marine going after a probe and able to chase it down and destroy it. One Zealot still hiding here, as the game is still far from over. No real losses, no real engagements as of yet, as we are going to see NoxOut move into a planetary fortress with missile turrets. Planetary fortress with missile turrets. The missile turrets would be a nice defense or a slowdown for the Colossi, as missile turrets do attack Colossi. Unfortunately, the missile turrets just even with the upgraded autosec tracking cannot fight against a Colossi, as it's a range 8 versus a range 9. Zealots, Immortals, Sentries, Stalkers, both sides engaging, as you now see Marauders and the Marines making their way in. There are Guardian Shields. This is going to be rather difficult, as the Nexus apparently does not gain any bonus armor from the Guardian Shield. And now the Marines are still battling now. In come the Stalkers, in comes the Immortals. Zealots are out of position. There we go, finally engaging. The units are now trying to just perhaps split up a bit more. Zealots still out of position, and Jaxx is in trouble. Jaxx needs to blink away with those Stalkers, free up a little bit more room. And now once he's done so, that may be enough to perhaps turn the tide and turn the battle around. And I actually think Jaxx had the better engagement, though, even though he had a lot of units not actively fighting. One Marine, getting destroyed easily. I believe the Zealots did not spot those medevacs, as the medevacs simply going to return home, drop down, finish off that Zealot there, and now perhaps retreat all the way back home. Stalkers making their way over. You can see that there's one Marine here as well. Planetary Fortress not harvesting any gas just quite yet. No upgrade on the range or the armor as of yet, as we will see what's going to be going down. Marauders and Marines, 11 Marines, 16 Marauders, a fair number of medevacs, 7 of them in play, plenty of energy on them, prime targets for feedback, as we now see an observer still keep track of this bio army and where it is headed off to. Now we see, the medevacs are trying to stim. They are going to try to engage. The Immortals getting off an easy shot, taking down the Marine, making a Marauder low on hit points, as all the units are simply going to be retreating once more, and there is going to be an attack on the far side. Stalkers and Zealots can lead the way. They most likely will lead the way. The Planetary Fortress is not going to be able to do much, as force fields. A nice force field block by Jaxx, and this may be the end of the Planetary Fortress. SCVs desperately trying to repair it. The Immortals joining in on the fight, dealing a lot of damage. The Planetary Fortress, down it goes. Perhaps the additional armor would have been enough, as the Stalkers would not be able to deal really that much, as the Marines and the Marauders still need to continue to give chase. If they stim, they could perhaps engage against some of those units. Not quite sure why they are not stimming, as NoxOut now going for perhaps an all-in. Yes, he is going for an all-in. Pretty much knows that after he lost this base, he cannot rebuild it in time. Marines and Marauders all in position. There are no Colossi, and that's the problem with Jaxx's army right now. No Colossi, and with no Colossi, no AoE. Ghosts lead the way. E comes EMP, and the SCVs need to push their way through. The Marines are tanking too much of that damage. If the SCVs are able to actually get to the front of this army, this is going to be bad. Probes are now being pulled as well, as the Ghosts need to get off some more EMPs if they want to win this battle. And we'll see what's going to be happening here as the Marauders and the Marines. Medevacs are getting healed. Ghosts now coming back in. No more EMP shockwaves for some reason. Are we going to get more EMPs? Probes are now in preparation. There's we go. Probes battling it out. More Marauders and Marines still going. It is a pretty even battle still as the Marauders and the Marines still battling it out. Stalkers, Medivacs getting destroyed, and the Medivacs with high energy getting destroyed. And Jaxx, with that probe pull, may come out the victor. The Medivacs need to back off. And with only 3 Marauders and 2 Marines left, things are not looking good. Harvester count 39 to 21 as this third base is still getting more resources. Probes now being transferred to the natural expansion as the main base has pretty much been mined out. Down over here, no mining happening here at all. More SCVs are not being trained. So it looks like NoxOut going to do everything with this one final blow. Will it be enough? There is one ghost. He has enough for one EMP round and one EMP round only. In comes the battle. Medivac does get taken down. No EMP shockwave that I've seen. Perhaps, nope, yes, there was an EMP shockwave as the Archons are still joining in on the fight. Stalkers now blinking back around, going straight for the Immortal. Immortal gets taken down. Marauders and Marines, the Medivac deciding to lift off once more and try to rinse and repeat as more Medivacs and units are making their way out. The Stalkers may be able to blink. This is going to be bad news if they're able to blink and catch up. The Marauders are dropping here as the Marauders and the Marines have caught. Oh, the Stalkers are out of position. This is bad as NoxOut now able to chase down some of Jaxx's units, taking down a Stalker, taking down another Stalker there. So what I thought would be a crazy macro game has turned into a battle of small engagements. And here on dual site, each time it really feels like NoxOut is getting more out of his units as he's able to constantly save them. But Jaxx has the harvester advantage, and the more harvester he has, the better his advantage. And the longer this game goes, the more harvesters he's going to continue to produce, and the longer and the stronger his economy will be. As now SCVs once again joining in on the fight. The SCVs are leading the way this time, and this might be a problem as the Zealots are engaging against SCVs. No EMP shockwaves yet. Too many Archons. That may be too many, as there are not going to be any EMP rounds, and I think NoxOut will have to give the GG here as the Marauders and the Marines attempting to run away still. There's the blink. A nice Medivac pickup once more, hiding up on the high ground here, but I believe the Archons will spot this. The Medivac pretty much not having very many options as the Marines are now charging into the third base, getting some easy shots on probes. Jaxx losing a lot of probes in this battle here. What's going to happen? The Medivac could try to do a drop at the natural. Is it going to happen? No, the Marines still going after probes as units are getting taken out left and right, as still the observers of Jaxx keeping track of resources. More Marines still being added. Income 400 versus 1,300. No more Medivacs being added as the Marines are now simply going to run in here and take down more probes. Jaxx now down to 105 food compared to 29. The Marines need to get away, and down goes the Medivac. No chance for escape as the Marines, 12 Marines, and there is the game. So a really great game played by NoxOut and Jaxx here on dual site. A war of attritions as... wow, I really don't know what to make of it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed Game 4 in this series. Jaxx now, I believe, up 3-1. Moving on to... I believe it's 3-1. Yeah, hopefully I am not misremembering. Yeah, 3-1. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Or is it 2-1? It's actually, I think it's 2-1.